So yeah, got this Alto in for front pads, Suzuki, same as the Nissan Pixo. So we've got front pads, so obviously front discs are a vented disc, still quite a bit of life left in them yet. They're not wavy, backside's a little bit wavy in the centre, but I'll give them a quick scrub with emery cloth. Patch on the floor is WD-40, so calipers there, so I usually spray WD-40 on the caliper around the seal area, just to make the seal a bit more supple. Just once you're pressing it back in, just allows it to soak. I also, before I pull the pads out or anything, put a bit of WD-40 in the sliding pins, because they sometimes get a bit dry. So you have on the disc, you have a lip in the centre where the pad where the end of the pad sits, and you'll have a lip on the outer edge of the disc. So chamfer the pad, so all you're doing on that is just stopping the brake squealing, or a squeal to happen. So chamfer the pads with a file. You can do it on a bench grinder, whatever takes your fancy. Just a bit more delicate with a file, just take your time a bit more with it. So these are Ica branded pads. So I've already cleaned up the shims, or the brake pad riding plates, or brake pad shims, whatever you want to call them. Stop the pad from rattling around too much. So on the race car stuff, the single seaters, the pads are square. You have split pins that go through, just two split pins that hold them in, and they chatter because they're free to move about. So on road car stuff, you have the metal shims, top and bottom. You put your pad in, it's usually a tight fit, stops the pad from rattling about. Obviously, as they get worn, these shims should replace them, but it is the motor trade and that never seems to happen. So while you brush them, try and scrape off as much with a flat bladed screwdriver. A lot of people say, oh, I'm using a flat bladed screwdriver for scraping, shouldn't do that, but yeah. So what you can do is, if they're still a bit tight, because there's a lot of powder coating on the pads these days, makes them look shiny when you pull them out of the box, nice and shiny. You get a bench grinder or a file, and all you want to do is just take that top layer of powder coat off that tab. So that tab is your riding point on your shims. So your pad will sit in like that. Obviously we've got no grease on it, so your pad will sit in like that. So easy I can move it back, so that'll be alright once there's some copper grease on them sliding points. I don't ever fit pads dry because they will squeal. You will cause the pads to bind and stick, and it's not worth the hassle of the comeback. So if you're on bonus and things like that, there's seen people just put pads in, and I get some bonus and all the rest of it, but yeah, that's what I like to do anyway. So I'll probably run a little bit on the bench grinder. We'll just go and do it now, show you. Take a bit off, that's all you want to do. Obviously 2 hands needed, but for video purposes, all I'm doing, just that top layer of powder coating off. So that is where the pad sits. Please don't try this at home, please use protective equipment, goggles and all the rest of it, because I'm not being liable for anything if anything happens. But yeah, you get the point. So now the pad is a lot more easier to slide in and out, and once copper grease is on there, it'd be nice pad that. And obviously do the same on that one. So yeah, push your pistons back. So I'll do that for you now. So you can get a brake caliper windback kit. So my Mac Tools dealer sells Sealy tools. So that is a brake caliper windback kit. You can get the compressed ones, the Blue Point ones off Snap-on. A little bit easier to use, especially for vans and things like that. Sprinters are common for seizing. So yeah, sprinters are common for seizing. So you would need these on rear calipers, and you can also use these to wind back front calipers or push back the pistons on front calipers. What I usually do is a quicker method. Slip jaw pliers, or water pump pliers as some people call them, made by Nipex, these ones. So obviously if you do get a bit of WD-40 on the dish, not too bad, just spray it off with brake cleaner and away you go. Release the cap on the reservoir as well, the brake master cylinder reservoir. I'm going to need 2 hands for this. Yeah. Pause you. So once you're past, see a little focus, yeah, kind of alright. Once you're past the initial stage, it will press back. Not too fast, because you can flip the seals in the master cylinder, which is never good. Sometimes you end up with the seal not going back how it should, which is why I usually use WD-40 to lubricate the seal, so it should fall back into position. Should do. It's not the end of the world if it doesn't, just because what it should do is tuck up under like that, but obviously it's a rubber seal, gets heat into it and everything else. So yeah, as long as you're careful with it going back on, you don't tear the seal. If you tear the seal, you will end up with debris and dirt going into the piston and seizing the caliper. So just be careful with what you're doing. Obviously now I've pushed that piston back and that fluid has come right up, so you need to get rid of some of the fluid out of there. I like to use blue roll, or I've got one of them vacuum pullers for changing brake fluid. Put that in there, that'll suck some of the brake fluid out so you can push the piston back on the other side. Or if you're careful, you put blue roll in, or tissue paper, it will soak the brake fluid up. Just be careful you don't spill it on bodywork, because it is hygroscopic, absorbs moisture, and is also damageable to bodywork if you don't clean it off quite quickly. Can clean off quite quickly with brake cleaner and a rag, or pour water over it. Usually sorts it out, and then just keep inspecting it, make sure the surface is good on your paint if you have a spillage. So yeah, that's it. I've got so there's a few cars in here. Corsa D, I've picked another one up yesterday in silver that is autogas converted and has head gasket issues, so I will be doing that, and hopefully we'll get some videos of that going. This is the Alto. So yeah, thank you for watching, and thank you for viewing the content on the channel. If you like it, please leave a like, subscribe, and if you didn't, please leave a thumbs down and let me know how I can improve my channel.